Candace Parker sat across from Stephen A. Smith on ESPN's First Take, calm but commanding, the way only a seasoned champion can be. The conversation didn't start with controversy. It never does. It started with stats, highlights, the rise of the Las Vegas Aces, the impact of Caitlin Clark, and the energy surrounding the 2024 WNBA season. But it wasn't long before the segment took a more serious turn. And Parker, never one to back away from honesty, leaned into the discomfort many have felt, but few have voiced so clearly. "Let's be real," Parker began, her voice steady. "There's a level of resentment around the WNBA that people don't want to talk about. And it's not just coming from outside. Some of it is internal, too." Stephen A. raised an eyebrow, giving her the floor. "What do you mean by that?" he asked, curious but cautious. Parker didn't blink. "There's been a long-standing feeling that no matter how hard WNBA players work, no matter how elite the talent is, how many Olympic gold medals we bring home, how many barriers we break, it's never enough. The spotlight is fleeting. The respect feels conditional." She wasn't angry. She was reflective. Her words came from a place of lived experience, of having been in the league since 2008, witnessing its evolution and being part of its progress. "You look at what's happening right now," she said. "Caitlin Clark comes in with this huge spotlight. She's undeniably talented. She's good for the league. We all know that. She's bringing in eyeballs, ratings, ticket sales, everything. But then you start to hear this undercurrent, like some people think we're ungrateful for her arrival or even resent her." Parker paused, letting that sink in. "It's not resentment of Caitlin," she continued. "It's frustration that it takes a white superstar to get this kind of attention. Many black women have been dominating this league for years, carrying it on their backs, and they've never gotten this level of mainstream love." The studio was quiet except for Parker's voice. Molly Karim nodded slightly, her expression solemn. "I've played with and against some of the greatest athletes in the world," Parker said. "Sylvia Fowles, Tamika Catchings, Maya Moore, legends. But how many people outside the WNBA community really know their names? That's the pain. That's the resentment. Not at the players, but at the system that only seems to notice us when we fit a certain image." Stephen A. leaned in. "So what needs to change?" "Respect needs to stop being conditional," Parker said. "Support for women's sports should not depend on viral moments or marketable faces alone. If you really care about the game, you support it because it's good basketball, because these athletes are putting in the work." She took a breath, then added, "We've got rivalries. We've got dynasties. We've got players that redefine what's possible on a court. But we're still treated like a side note. You see it in the media coverage. You see it in the resources, in the salaries, in the broadcast deals." Stephen A. nodded, tapping his pen on the desk. "I hear you," he said. "But there's also talk about how some veterans might be giving the rookies, specifically Caitlin, a hard time." "What do you say to that?" Parker looked directly at the camera. "This league isn't easy. It never has been. Every player has had to prove themselves. Diana Taurasi had to earn it. So did Sue Bird. So did I. So will Caitlin. That's not hazing. That's the reality of professional sports. You're stepping into a league of grown women who've been grinding for years. You have to earn your respect on the court." She clarified that what's happening now is being framed as animosity, when really it's about competition. "Caitlin Clark isn't being bullied," Parker said. "She's being guarded. She's being challenged. That's basketball. You think of guys like Kobe or MJ got a pass when they came in as rookies? Of course not. You're tested. You're pushed. That's part of what makes you great." Still, Parker acknowledged that the narrative surrounding Clark's integration into the league had been twisted in damaging ways. "It's frustrating," she said, "because what should be a celebration of the league's growth turns into finger-pointing. And somehow, it always circles back to questioning the integrity or character of veteran players, particularly black players, who are just doing what they've always done: competing." Molly jumped in to ask about social media's role in this dynamic. Do you think social media's fueling the fire here? She asked. Absolutely, Parker replied. Social media has amplified every foul, every interaction, and every clip without context. A hard screen becomes a national debate. A stare down becomes disrespect. But people forget. This is basketball. This is what competition looks like. Then, Parker delivered one of her strongest points. What we need to be talking about is how we protect the league as a whole. How we uplift all the players, not just the ones that trend on TikTok or draw in a certain demographic. Because if you only care about women's basketball when it looks a certain way or fits a certain storyline, you're not really supporting the sport. You're supporting a moment. Stephen A. asked how the league should handle the attention without losing its foundation. By remembering who built it, Parker said, firm. By honoring the players who laid the groundwork. By investing in marketing that reflects the whole league. By telling the full story, not just the shiny headlines. She added, it's not about picking sides, it's about balance. We can celebrate new stars while still giving flowers to the veterans. We can welcome change without rewriting history. Molly then asked how Parker herself had navigated these moments of invisibility and frustration during her own career. I leaned on the game, she said. I let my performance speak. But it wasn't easy. There were years when I felt overlooked. Years when I knew I had done enough to be in the MVP conversation and didn't get a mention. That eats at you, but you push forward. Parker's presence in that studio wasn't just as a former MVP, a two-time WNBA champion, and an Olympic gold medalist. She was speaking as someone who understood the long game, who had seen the WNBA from the inside and fought for its respect inch by inch. There's beauty in what's happening now, she admitted. More people are watching. More girls are dreaming, but we can't lose ourselves in the noise. We can't let the attention divide us. Stephen A. asked one final question. What's your message to the fans watching all this play out? Parker didn't hesitate. Support women's basketball. Because it's worth it. Learn the history. Know the names. Don't just ride the wave. Understand where it came from. And stop framing competitiveness as bitterness. This league is strong because of the fight in it. That's not resentment. That's passion. The segment ended, not with fireworks, but with a quiet sense of truth that lingered long after the camera stopped rolling. Candace Parker hadn't come to create drama. She came to speak the truth, to clear the fog around a growing discourse, and to remind everyone, fans, media, and players alike, that respect for the WNBA has to be earned, yes, but more importantly, it must be sustained and shared. And in that moment, on First Take, she made one thing undeniably clear. Real support for women's basketball starts with listening. And she made sure we all heard her.